Welcome to Interior Analysis. I'm Evan Westman,
I'm Jelani Kelly.
and today we're doing Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest, so the second one. So, why don't we start with just some of your general reactions? So, first of all, did you like this better than the first? Because I know you were saying last time that, like, the first one wasn't your favorite, but you were like, it made you want to see the second. So, did it, like, live up to your expectations?
Yeah, yeah. I liked it better than the first because the characters were already established. I was sad to see the comedic in quotes, the comedic duo back. I said before I don't like comedic duos in movies like this or like any children's movie. They have never been funny to me.
Yeah, I was noticing this time when like I was looking back through it, I was like, wow, yeah, they really did not need to be here at all.
Yeah,
Like they give him a couple moments, but yeah, I knew you were gonna be upset when they came back.
yeah. I don't even remember them joining Jack's crew, but whatever. And they were also still trying to like be evil and be pirate y and stuff. Like when they tried to take the boat and leave the crew, or when they tried to take the chest from Jack, Will, and the Commodore while the three of them were fighting, and Elizabeth had to chase after them. It's like, why are they here?
Yeah, it could have done without them for sure.
I don't remember when Jack became part of that tribe. Maybe I missed something in the beginning. I guess I was doing something else.
Yeah, no, you
Um,
did not miss anything there. That just kind of happens. I don't
what?
even think there was like a deleted scene that explained it. It's just pretty much like they made for land, they got there, and he used his charisma to just make them obey him, basically. That's I think that's what you're supposed to like assume from that. There's nothing you missed there.
Well, okay then. I still don't know who these movies are for. I guess middle schoolers, even though, like, I don't know if that should be marketed towards them. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on the middle schooler. You said you started watching these in middle school, right?
Yeah, I think I saw all four of them at some point in 6th grade, but I liked them throughout it. So I've been thinking about like the who is it for question since we talked about the first one. And I know I answered on the first one with kind of like they didn't know, maybe, although like that's more speculation than anything. I think it was maybe like for this one, I feel like maybe they didn't care exactly who it was for. They were just like it worked on the last one. Let's keep going with it cuz
Mm-hmm.
and like we were saying like Disney now kind of has that Disney PG-13 movie thing down and they didn't at this point. So like, now you see very like bloodless action in like all the Marvel and Star Wars movies, which was kind of true of those before Disney got to them, but I feel like they even kind of like they're trying to play to kids now with their like all family content. But I do agree it doesn't feel like they're trying to like not commit to being a kids movie or an like adult movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really don't mind, but it is unclear for sure.
That's such a specific target. That's so weird. Because there was some like dark imagery and implications, like the crew's bones being used for cages, or like half the crew's bones being used for cages. They were like, where do they get these cages from? And one of the pirates was like, well, they didn't have these before our crew got here. It's like, yo, what?
Mm-hmm.
The other half of Jack's crew falling to their deaths in the bone cage? Like, Jesus Christ. I mean, it is PG 13, so whatever. But, like, there's still a lot of death and such in here.
Yeah, I have things I want to say because I've been doing a lot of research the past couple weeks on the MPAA rating system, but I want to save that for when we actually talk about that because
Mm,
there are many things that I've found out that play into that maybe a bit.
mm. There was also the Kraken scene. Well, the first one at least was terrifyingly awesome. And then there's this thing I'm not like, well, it is kind of terrifying. There's something called the last phobia, where it's like fear of open sea. But my fear isn't the water itself, but like what might be in the water. So I just imagine being dragged by a giant tentacle into the depths of the ocean to be drowned or eaten by this giant squid thing that you can't really do much about unless you're a main character. So
Well, even then, it seems like,
yeah,
I mean, yes, they have plot armor, but we will definitely talk about the Kraken because I freaking love the Kraken.
yeah. The island scene with the wheel sword fight and Davy Jones's crew versus Liz and the duo was also pretty fire. Like I enjoyed that too. When
Yeah,
the Commodore and Will were fighting on the wheel and Jack was inside, and then Liz and the duo kept calling for the sword and fighting off Davy Jones's crew while trying to keep the chest from them. Yeah, that was pretty good. So the action was way more easy to, well, just easier for me to follow in this. Like even with the wheel and all those cuts on that, like I could kind of understand what was happening. Interesting ending. I think it was kind of spoiled for me, but I forgot before I saw it. Barbosa being alive, how do you get shot in the chest and then still live after you're supposed to die? Like you saw the blood and everything, so what's he doing?
yeah. So there's a bit of an explanation for that. So there was a post credit scene in the first one, I think, where the monkey goes back and like grabs a coin from the chest, and that explains why the monkey's still undead at the start of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to Tia Dalma, and I guess like you'll hear it in the third movie. There's like a little bit of a line that's just like she brought him back, but it is very underexplained. Like
Mm.
I think they just wanted him back because I guess people liked him from the first one and stuff like that. I don't know.
Mm.
There's no real explanation for how that happens. It's just kind of like pirate magic shit. So,
Mm. But overall, better than the first, even if the ending was conclusive. It was kind of like a part one, like Infinity War. The Avengers will return. Jack and his crew will return.
yes, I was waiting for you to bring up Infinity War.
Yeah. Even though it could be a movie complete on its own, kinda. I know this is the part one. I didn't know it was a part one going in. I thought by the end everything would be solved. I was like, oh, 2 hours, they'll have solved everything by then. No, it was 2.5 hours. My bad. But they'll have solved everything by then. And then, I was at the 2 hour and 5 minute mark, and I was like, Davy Jones is still alive, y'all. Y'all don't have a plan or nothing. And then Barbosa came back in the end, and I was like, oh, okay then. So,
Yeah, yeah, you could really feel. I mean, yes, when you watch it for the first time, of course, it's and don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know, but once you see it, like you can really tell that they were making this knowing they were gonna make a third.
mm.
So, what all did you know about this one before seeing it? Because I know you mentioned last time that like you knew you'd like seen Davy Jones or whatever. Was there anything else you maybe knew about it?
I knew about the Kraken. I remember seeing like maybe a part of the movie because my dad was watching it. I remember once I saw the Kraken, I remembered I knew about the Kraken, but before he even mentioned it, I completely forgot that it would be in this movie. Or I actually kind of didn't know. Maybe I just knew it would pop up at some point. I don't know. That, and I saw, I think, I don't know where it got spoiled for me. Maybe it was either on the cover or I looked up the cast and it was in the cast of one of them that Barbosa comes back, or that the actor was in the next movie.
Yeah, because I think he's on the poster for 4 and 5 at least. So yeah, that I'm not surprised that got spoiled for you. Did you feel differently at all about Norrington in this one? Because I feel like he's a lot better in this one. I agree with your assessment from the first movie that he's like kind of bland with it, but I feel like he's a lot better here. So, did your opinion on him change at all?
Not by much. Like, I think they tried, but I just don't care. It sucks he lost his Commodore ship, but like, oh well. I don't relate to this character. I don't really care about this character, but I appreciate them trying to give him something.
Yeah, I just think it's cool that he comes out on top at the end because I feel like no one would have seen that coming.
Oh yeah,
Like,
wait, he's the one that gives the heart to the new jerk in charge, right?
yeah, Beckett.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he does. I forgot about that. He wins.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like he's still not like the most interesting, but they make him more of an opportunist in this
Mm-hmm.
one.
Like
So,
Jack.
yeah. Yeah, and it took me a while to figure out that he was him because like I said, I didn't finish the first movie before watching this one.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he showed up in this, I just thought he was some guy and I feel like I remember it was a long time ago, but like watching when he's like digging out the chest in the three-way sword fight, I was like, "Wait, who's that guy?" Like I I had no idea it was him. But yeah, that's sort of anecdotal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any predictions or just thoughts on the third one?
Well, they gotta win, so it'll just be part two of this half of a movie. Davy Jones is probably gonna get stopped or die the same way Barbosa was supposed to, or a similar way. I don't know how they're gonna stop the Kraken because they've tried. They tried twice already. Burned his tentacles and he keeps coming back, and it's like, well, y'all should probably just give up on having squid for dinner tonight. I know for a fact Beckett is about to betray somebody, and it's probably Norrington. Like, I brought you the heart. Oh, that's nice. Take him to jail. Wait, on what charges? I don't know. I'm a villain in these movies. I'm a bad guy because I'm a higher up, so I have to be. So
Corporate oversight. Yep.
yeah. So yeah, I have a feeling he's gonna betray somebody because he's been shown not to be a good person. We're not even. They've been throwing it in our faces and beating us up with it that you're not supposed to trust him or like him. Yeah, Davy Jones has to get beaten at some point. And also, the effects didn't age as well as I thought they did.
Really?
Yeah, well, Davy Jones did, but his crew. If you were to look at like the hammerhead shark guy, he don't look too good, my boy. He
Okay.
yeah.
I think I'm a little bit maybe I have nostalgia bias for this. I think this movie looks gorgeous between CGI and even just like some of the locations they picked, like it just looks great somehow.
Yes, that's fair.
Even like when they're just standing around on Isla Cruces, I'm like, these are just like I could just watch the whole movie here and it looks awesome somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Did you at least thought that like the Kraken and Davy Jones looked good though, right?
Yeah, Davy
Okay.
Jones more than the Kraken. And I was also eating when I was watching part of this movie, and I shouldn't have done that because Davy Jones looks gross.
Okay.
But they did a good job making him look gross.
Yeah, I love his design. Like he just looks so cool, and like the way his tentacles like act with him
Yeah.
is I think that's cool.
What's his accent? Because I feel like the actor who is ever acting him keeps changing it, and it's annoying me.
So Bill Nighy's the actor. I don't know what to call the accent. I've never minded. I love listening to that accent.
You don't even know what it is. Evan.
I don't care that much. Like it just he's so cool. I
I
don't
feel like sometimes he's Scottish, then Irish, then British, and it's like, yo, pick a European.
but like he sounds so cool with it. Like I am the sea. Like how is that not so cool to you? Like it's so oh, I love it.
No.
I won't argue that it's like yeah, maybe he should pick a lane, but that does not bother me one bit. Did you have any more reactions?
No, I feel like people in this movie are being decisive and pretty smart, especially the villains. I'm really shocked that the villains in these movies are comprehensive and able to figure stuff out. Like, normally in movies by, well, I'm not going to say Disney, but just movies directed towards, kind of towards kids in general, is just, the villains are not like evil masterminds or anything.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are at least comprehensive and, calculating, and I admire that from these movies. Like Barbosa was, I was like, yo, how are they gonna take this guy down? He's like figuring everything out. He knew he was gonna be ambushed and all this stuff, and yeah, that's cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Let's I was planning to save this for later, but why don't we just get into the villains now since we're talking about them? I hadn't really thought of them as being smart, but I think now that you mention it, like even the henchmen in this one, like the other Dutchman crew members, they're all like, a lot of times, like you're saying, like even if the villain in a kid's movie isn't like stupid, he'll have some dumb advisor henchman that like screws everything up, and like I always hate that.
For the sake of being funny too. And it's
exactly.
never funny.
And like occasionally it'll work, but very rarely. But yeah, like even in this one, like even that guy, I don't know what his name is, but the one with the hermit crab head that Jack like knocks off
Oh yeah,
on
him.
the island, like even he was like pretty smart in those scenes. Like yeah, they were playing him for laughs, but it wasn't him just being stupid. Like they're good henchmen.
They got the
which is
chest.
rare to see.
They just didn't know the heart wasn't in it. But, they got the chest. That's what counted. Like, they got what they came there to do.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good at it. And, even, I guess Norrington's not a henchman, but he is a villain. And he was like, I mean, he outsmarts everyone by the end. I mean, outsmarts is maybe a little bit strong, but, He
just knows the heart is in the jar of dirt.
Yeah, but like he was, aware enough to do that, and it really does elevate it.
In the height of a battle.
Yeah, it's good, like street smarts. That's part of why I liked him better in this. I don't think it's like it makes him a better character overall, but he's more interesting to watch in this one than the other two. Yeah, and like with Beckett also, since we're talking about Norrington, like he is kind of replacing Norrington in this one, but I think they do make some distinct differences with him. Like for one thing, we had Norrington at the end kind of like lets Jack go and sort of gives up, and we get the sense right away that Beckett is not going to be swayed by like any kind of personal loyalty or anything like that. He's just like, the law is the law. And Norrington is like that for most of the first one, but like his key moment is when he's not.
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed with him too is a major difference between him and Norrington is he believes in all like the pirate myths and stuff. He's not just like looking to find power in general, which I mean he is, but he wants the heart of Davy Jones. And like the whole time throughout the first movie and even into this one, Norrington's like, oh, all this like pirate myth stuff is total bollocks. Like this is like, why are we chasing after some like old wives' tale myth, whatever? And Beckett believes in all of it. He's like, this is how I gain an advantage. I'm gonna go for it. It's interesting to make him like a believer, because a character who's like of the law like him, you typically wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, I feel like he's what Norrington was supposed to be in the first one. It's cool they added, like you said, it's cool they added the little quirk of him being into and believing all this pirate stuff. But other than that, he's also kind of bland to me.
Yeah, I mean, they don't spend a lot of time with him in this. They have, like, he's there at the beginning, he's there at the end, and I think there's one scene with him in the middle with Governor Swan that's just like a little, it's just like a tiny plot moment. I don't know if your opinion's going to change on him in the third, but he has a lot more to do in the third one.
Mm.
One thing that he and Davy Jones, though, I think are like really good in how they're constructed, though, is they're like perfectly designed to be villains to Jack. In that scene on the Trader Island in the first movie, Jack's like talking about like how he views the Pearl as like its freedom, and that's why he's so dedicated to it. Like, it's not just that he has a boat, it's like when he's on the ocean and he has his own ship, that is freedom for him. And both of these villains combined are there to take away the freedom of being a pirate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, collectively, they control the land and the sea. So he's got nowhere to run.
Mm.
So I liked that construction. I don't know that they're, like, the best villains ever.
What's Davy Jones's goal? Like, what's he trying to do?
So he's kind of like... His ship is kind of like a purgatory thing. He picks up sailors who are, like, going to die at sea and gives them the choice to either go to their death or serve him for 100 years. That's that scene with Will when he gets picked up by the Dutchman originally. And
he's asking the people if they want to serve.
Yeah. So I think that's his whole deal. And like he's only allowed to go to land once every 10 years. So it's more of a curse for him than anything else. At least I think. I don't really know if it ever gets into the origins of how he became that. I think that's from some kind of like pirate mythology. Like, I don't think they made up him as an idea for this movie.
Nah, he's from SpongeBob, bro.
Okay, I never watched SpongeBob.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, he is like, there's a ghost called the Flying Dutchman in SpongeBob. He's like always trying to take people to Davy Jones's locker. So I think it is a myth. I don't know what mythology it's from. I know the Kraken is from Greek mythology, so...
Yeah, I think it might be like a combination of mythologies, because I want to say there's other mythologies that believe in a Kraken. Because I've seen it come up in a couple other things. Like, there was that animated Sinbad movie from like the early 2000s, and there's a Kraken scene in that. Not nearly as good as this, but
no,
it's in
there. I gotta
there.
rewatch that. I like that movie.
I haven't seen it since... I think I saw it when I was really little. And then, like, I've just found clips of it on YouTube randomly.
The snow owl scene. The edge of the earth with Tartarus.
I do remember that scene at the edge of the earth. That's like one of the only things I remember from it.
Yeah. I think they do kill the Kraken in that, though.
Maybe. I'd have to go back and check. It's not nearly as cool as this Kraken, though.
Well, it's also animated, Evan.
It is also animated.
I guess both are animated.
Fair enough, but like this... Well, one thing about this was like Dead Man's Chest, I think at the time was like... It might have been the biggest budget movie ever. It's been passed. I know the third one went to $300 million. I think that held it for a while. Pretty sure Endgame and Justice League passed it, but like they really took advantage of their budget with the Kraken and with Davy Jones and the crew.
Well, not so much the crew, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. The crew does not look as good. But I was watching the DVD commentary a couple nights ago, and in that scene where they first call the Kraken, so the commentary was with the writers Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio. And they were, when there's that first scene where they call the Kraken, they were like, we had to really fight to keep this in because it shows like all the crew members walking around that thing. And they were like, yeah, it's a really expensive shot for VFX and stuff. I think it was worth fighting to keep that shot in because I love the way that they do everything with the Kraken. Do you have anything else to say on the villains? Because if not, I'm going to get into the Kraken here.
No.
Okay. So, as I said, I freaking love the Kraken. Like, it's so cool. And the way they expose it, or like show it gradually, is probably one of my favorite things about it. Like, that first shot, or not, it's not even a shot of it. Like, they show that fishing boat just disappear, and you don't see any of it. So then Gibbs describes it to Will and is like, well, but nobody knows if it's like actually a thing. And then Will is escaping on that British trader ship, and they're like, oh, we must have hit a reef. And then it attacks, and the ship gets freaking wrecked. Like, that is an awesome scene.
The scene, do you remember the shot of Will trying to swim away and then turning around to see it underwater?
Mm-hmm.
That's what freaks me out. The fact that you could be in the water, out of your element, with something as terrifying as that lives there, and is probably just the MFer in charge in the ocean. Like, seeing something so large, like, I couldn't even swim next to a whale, let alone a freaking Kraken. So,
would you do a dolphin?
No.
You wouldn't do a dolphin? Not even like, how they have those things where you can, like, I don't know, pay a crap load of money and swim with a dolphin?
I doubt it. Like, sea life freaks me out. Well, there's a lot of things that freak me out, but I don't even like fish being near me when I'm in the water. Like, I definitely wouldn't swim with a dolphin in the ocean.
That's fair enough.
But like in a pool, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I also heard this story. A YouTuber I watch, he was riding a dolphin, paid to swim with dolphins, and it took him under, and it was like going, I think he might have been in the ocean, but he was going like further and further down, and he had no idea what the dolphin was doing, but maybe like, I don't know, dolphins, isn't there like a really weird myth where dolphins are believed to have been humans at one point, like soul-wise or something like that? I don't know.
The only time I've ever heard that is there's one Roald Dahl book. I think it's The Witches that like has a very brief mention of something like that, but I've never heard of anything aside from that.
He said something about the dolphin maybe recognizing him and taking him down into the depths to like, hey, meet my family and stuff like that. And it was like,
oh,
I'm good. The guy lived, obviously. I think it brought him back up. But like,
that would be really scary though.
Yeah, and you have no, like, you can try and hop off. I don't know how he was on the dolphin. I don't know if he was strapped to it or anything, but like, you kind of at the dolphin's mercy. Once they're in the water, it's like their world. So, but back to the shot. That was really freaky. See, and you still didn't see like the whole thing. You just saw like the back half of it because all of its tentacles were out the water. And then the water underneath it is like, yo, what else is in the water? If there's this giant squid top right here and it's still like super dark, what else is in the water?
Yeah, it would I mean, people still don't go to the beach because of Jaws, so I'd imagine, like, I don't know if anyone had that reaction to seeing the Kraken in this, but it wouldn't surprise me, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, also in that scene with the whole first ship getting trashed, the very beginning of the attack is just one guy getting yanked overboard, and then like you see it. I think you see like the tentacle come back up out of the water, and then the rest of it attacks. That whole scene is awesome, and they actually, I found this out from the DVD commentary too. They actually broke a ship when they filmed that, and I guess I'd never really thought about it, but looking back at it, I think you can really see like the practical effects there. Like, and I think they said they had something, the two huge tentacles that come down and break it. Like, I think they had something physical to like simulate those.
Damn.
It definitely paid off. Like, maybe it was a little more money than they needed for it, but it looks really good.
Probably not the best question, but did they film most of this in the ocean, or it was like their studio set up to make it look like the ocean?
I think there was some of both, because a lot of the shots in the ocean, like I think the first one, almost everything looked pretty real to me, and this one, a lot of it did. I think they probably used some real ships for this.
Mm.
If it's CGI or like, green
Green
screens,
screen.
it's really good.
Yeah, because there's like a shot of Will swimming away from the Kraken on like, and then he popped up on the piece of like wood. I was like, yo, this looks like they really filmed in the ocean. It looks like the actor was really swimming to that, and like, I would have never signed on for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it made me realize too, like there's so few movies that they do in the ocean now. And I can see why. Like I've heard water is incredibly hard to shoot with,
Mm-hmm.
which, makes sense. The next time we see the Kraken is at the end. And I love that. So there's the scene where the Dutchman's giving chase to the Pearl and the Pearl outruns it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's like the Hammerhead guy or one of the Dutchman crew is like, we're giving up. And Davy Jones just smiles and you see them pulling the crank. Like, it's simple, but it's perfect to me. I love that that's how they did it because you already, like, and you needed the whole first Kraken scene to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But it pays, like, it really hits. You're just like, oh no, oh
Mm.
no. And then the whole Kraken fight with the Pearl, like, they beat it, but again, like you were saying, like, how are they going to stop it in the third one? It's so unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And they fight it off pretty well, but it's only because Will kind of knows its tactics a little bit. And, like, even then, the Pearl goes down with it. And I really, really appreciate that. Like, way back when we talked about A Quiet Place, we were saying like how great it was. Me and Carla were saying how great it was that the monsters really obey the rules in
Mm-hmm.
that world and aren't like stupid. And I think the same holds true for the Kraken here. Like it never does anything that helps the heroes or the people it's trying to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's full tilt all the time, which I hate it when they don't do that. Like
Change the rules.
yeah, well, or they just make the villain or the monster get all of a sudden it gets lame when the heroes show up.
Mm.
Smaug does that. I know you haven't seen the Hobbit movies, but that's really frustrating. Or like the Suicide Squad villain did that.
Oh, and yeah. She's this all powerful witch person. Then, a bunch of people with guns and really weird weapons kill her or stop her.
Well, but also in that whole scene, like I haven't seen it since the theater, but I just remember like it just misses everything. Or like did you see X-Men Apocalypse?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that's as bad of an example, but I know people have mentioned like how
Was it
he's
really not? Because he had those sand abilities where he, like, suffocated those dudes when he first came out. And that alone could have killed more than half of the X-Men he was fighting in the end.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like they're tearing it up at the beginning, so you're like, oh, powerful villain, but then the heroes get to him and it's like he levels down or whatever.
Yeah, they weren't even really, like, maybe Magneto had one of the best chances, but, like, they weren't really doing anything that could, like, stop him. Cyclops, his useless self, was just shooting him with the laser beam, and it's like, yo, you don't have nothing to counteract the laser beam? Like, you got all these powers.
Yeah.
You're an ancient god, essentially, and you can't stop a laser beam or metal. He has telekinesis. Like, what?
Yeah.
Which is better than ferrokinesis, metal manipulation. But like, yo, and you got stopped by some steel girders, and who's the one that took him out? Was it Phoenix Jean? That was a little believable. Phoenix Jean taking him out, okay. I'll give them that a little bit. I'm not exactly sure if they fought in the comics. They probably have, and I'm not sure who won. But, bro,
Yeah.
the rest of them doing anything. I'm so glad they took Nightcrawler out of the finale because he definitely should have died. Quicksilver, what was he about to do? Just punch him very fast because that's all he can do? Like, he has, like, all... Bro. All right,
Yeah.
this isn't about...
We are definitely
Apocalypse.
gonna have to talk about one or two X-Men movies at least someday, though.
Yeah.
Because I like those a lot better than the MCU, and like I know you're gonna have opinions on them, so we definitely need to do a couple X-Men movies at some point.
I don't see the big problem with The Last Stand.
I haven't seen that one. I
Hot
think
take.
that's the only one I haven't.
It's a hot take because people hated the third one.
I've heard that, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so anything else on the Kraken
Nah,
aside from it being the best?
no.
It is the best. So you were saying earlier how like it feels incomplete. So this is kind of where we're gonna talk about that a little bit. I agree with you that this one is much more interesting and fun to watch than the first one. However, like there's a lot that I think you can point to in this that's like they didn't really get it, or it just like not exactly plot holes, but just things that you're like, I don't know, that doesn't really feel quite right. So it's like it's far from perfect, but I really appreciate it because I think it is more interesting than the first one, which was, I don't want to call it safe, but safer for sure. Like they were making choices in this that I think they wanted to make, and they were like, all right, let's just go nuts with this. And I think you can feel that, like, even if this isn't perfect, it's what the writers and Gore Verbinski as the director wanted. They were like, this is the Pirates movie we wanted to make. Here's a question though, because so we've talked before a little bit about like the balance of like having the characters serve your plot or the plot serve your characters. Which one do you think this is doing more of? Because I can't really decide.
Plot serving the characters, I guess. Like, I do feel like they're making decisions that they would make as their characters. Like, they're still in character the whole movie, but they're chasing around. Well, one of the things we're gonna talk about is McGuffins. They're all like driven by these items, and it's like there's no character that doesn't care about them. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of can't tell either because yeah, there are like I don't feel like there's any point where anyone's doing inconsistent with their character. But then again, like it does feel sort of incomplete. Like you were saying before, like you get to the end and it's like okay, I don't feel like that's it. And again, like you can tell they're making this knowing there's going to be a third one, and maybe they were just like, okay, we can't fit all this into one movie, so we're going to break it into two. And there's definitely things that you can tell they're like moving the characters through the story so that they can like get them to these couple points. Like the Ela Cruces scene, like they really wanted that Ela Cruces three-way fight scene.
Yeah.
Like once they get there, they're just like, okay, we messed around with everything we wanted, but we really are going to go all in on this.
I feel like maybe Elizabeth kissing Jack was out of character for her. Like, she kind of teased him at first, and I was like, oh, okay, good. So she didn't. And then she kissed him to handcuff him to the ship. I feel like that was kind of not what she would do. Like, she doesn't consider herself a pirate still, right? Or does she?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's not out of character exactly, but it is like I think you could call it as an inconsistency.
Yeah.
That whole like tension between them and like making the love triangle between her, Will, and Jack, like that didn't feel right
forced
for it. Like, although again, as we mentioned last time, like Will and Elizabeth have no chemistry, and that has not changed one bit in this one. Like, I think they get maybe like they don't even have that much screen time together.
Yeah.
There's more time developed with Will and Bootstrap, Bill's relationship, than
And
theirs.
Jack and Elizabeth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a bit of a weak point. But I still appreciate that, like, they were making bold choices. I agree that that wasn't the most character consistent thing for them to do, but I do like that it gives us the surprising ending where Jack dies.
Well, we know he's not dead, but
We do know he's not dead, yeah. And of course you needed that beat at the end. I think that was the main thing I noticed when we talked about Infinity War. I think I mentioned this as like a comparison where you need that moment at the end where they're like, all right, we're gonna go get Jack again, because I don't think there was that guarantee that there would be another one.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Infinity War, you were like, okay, of course there's gonna be another one of these.
Yeah.
So they could kind of leave it as it was.
Knowing there was going to be another one after Infinity War did not change my saltiness. Like, I thought they were supposed to make... Because they changed the title. It was supposed to be Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2. And I'm going in thinking, okay, they changed the title, and it's no longer going to be called Part 1 and Part 2. So, this should be a movie on its own. A movie on its own in itself. You know, maybe there'll be a different villain in the next Avengers one next year. And then when Thanos got to the sunset and everybody was dusted, I was like... And then the credits roll, and I was like, wait, what? That, you know, I was initially just pissed off. I was like, yo, what was that? The movie was... They didn't win. The movie was incomplete. Like, normally I don't care about the heroes winning or losing. But in that moment when it wasn't what I was expecting because they changed what the movies were supposed to be, supposedly, maybe it was because I, like, felt lied to or something, you know? Like it was false advertising.
Maybe, but, like, do you feel like... I mean, I know you still like Infinity War despite that, but do you feel like it would have benefited from an ending like this has, where they do kind of have that like spark of hope at the end?
Yes, I feel like it would have worked.
Really?
Yeah.
I kind of think they both work for what they are, but I mean...
Oh, you mean like
I
if there was like the Avengers saying, okay, we got a way to go back, like something like...
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I like the way Infinity War ended now, as opposed to
Okay.
my initial reaction. I mean, I knew Jack wasn't... Because I'm older also, I know Jack wasn't permanently dead, because, you know, he's on the covers of the other movies, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need that, but maybe that was for, like, the younger audience who thought he was dead.
Yeah, well, I think it's also that you have... I feel like that might have been a studio thing, too, because maybe they did want to end it, like, cold, just like Jack's dead, oh no, what's going to happen now? And then they come out with a third, but when you've only got one movie behind it...
Yeah.
It really does, I think, show so much trust in this team, though, because, like, you know, sometimes... you'll make a sequel to something, but it does kind of tank. And, like, it doesn't work great. And I think it shows a lot of faith from Disney in these creators that, like, they were like, yeah, we'll give you more than $500 million plus to make two of the biggest movies ever, because we think, yeah, it's going to work. We trust them. And not to say that you don't see that anymore, but it, like, you never see people taking maybe it's not a risk, but it's not a super safe choice either.
Yeah. You have to have something behind what you're doing in order to get that amount of money. Like some sort of... Normally it's just you have to have material that's sold crazy on its own beforehand.
Yeah, like even like a book.
Yeah, pre-established material.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that, like, studios should still do that, because, of course, like, stuff flops. Like, I think A Wrinkle in Time was something like that, where they put a ton of money in it, had a built-in fan base, and it just tanked, because I guess it wasn't good. I didn't see it, but I didn't hear any good things about it. But, yeah, it's surprising, I think, in today's context, that literally, like, the two biggest movies ever at the time, and still probably in like the top 20 biggest budget movies ever now, like, they had a lot of trust in these guys. I didn't really have anything else with this, but if we want to transition into McGuffins,
Sure.
For those who don't know what a MacGuffin is, like, this movie's a good example, but, like, the example I always go back to is the rabbit's foot in Mission Impossible 3. It's just, like, something that the plot revolves around, that everyone's going after. It's like a powerful object, just as a definition for those who don't know. And this, I think, no matter how you slice it, has too many MacGuffins. I feel pretty confident saying that.
Yeah.
Like, by my count, there's anywhere from 4 to 7 MacGuffins in this movie, which either one of those numbers is too high.
Yep.
Because you've got the key, the heart, the compass, and the letters of mark. That's at minimum, you've got those. And then you could say the chest itself, separate from the heart, is a MacGuffin. And at that point, even the jar of dirt is a MacGuffin. And at that point, even the 100 souls are a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Some of those are a little bit of liberal interpretations of what a MacGuffin is, but like that's a lot of MacGuffins moving around. And like that Ila Cruce scene, I think at least 6 of them are in play.
That's the island scene?
Yeah. Sorry, I keep calling it that because that's just
That's
I
what
always
it
think
was
of it as
called.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that scene is just like every MacGuffin's moving around everywhere. Like, and I think that's what they wanted, but like if they wanted to, they could have cut down on the MacGuffins in this.
It wouldn't be a problem if somebody would just eat them like egg McGuffins from McDonald's.
I feel like someone has asked me if that's what a MacGuffin is at some point when I've mentioned it. Like
Egg McGuffin.
Egg MacGuffin.
Yeah. Sausage, egg, and cheese McGuffin.
We should totally try to put that in something. If someone wants to steal this idea from us, like, make a MacGuffin that is a McDonald's food item.
Oh my god.
That would be a lot of fun.
The McMuffin McGuffin?
The McMuffin MacGuffin. That should be a thing in some there's some movie where that should work. Deadpool 3.
Yes.
The McMuffin MacGuffin.
Yes. And they can refer to it as McGuffin because, you know, he breaks the fourth wall, so.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he'd be the best to do it, but if there's anything out there right now that could do it, I think Deadpool's the one that would go for that.
Yes.
So, did you feel like the MacGuffins dragged this down, or were you kind of okay with it?
It made me think of the first movie a lot because of the coins. The coins were the MacGuffin in the first one. And it's like, does every movie of these need a MacGuffin? And they added 6 more, Evan. They added 6 more MacGuffins.
Yep.
Like,
And there are more coming in the third one.
we don't need all of this. I know you're trying to add to your pirate mythos and all this stuff, but like, relax. You don't need these. It's a lot of McMuffins to go around. Like, we don't. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I was trying to keep track of who had what, and you heard me at the beginning of this. I forgot that Norrington even gave the heart. And it's like, oh, right. Wait, so who ended up with the chest? Like, like, nobody's trying to keep track of all this.
Right, because there's another 20 minutes that it spends away from that whole thing. Like, because until, like, the jar of dirt drops on the ship, like, even then, Davy Jones still thinks that Jack has the heart. It's like, because I think the thing is, too, like, the chest and the jar of dirt are, like, false MacGuffins at that point. But the characters are still treating them like real ones. So it gets all sorts of messy.
Yeah.
It's too much. And again, I think it's what they wanted, though. Like, did you see Rise of Skywalker?
I didn't. I didn't finish Last Jedi, though, so I know what happens in it. Well, kind of.
For better or for worse, you don't really need to have seen Last Jedi to see Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to get into it because I
know about who's what in that movie.
Okay, I'm not going to recommend that you go see Rise of Skywalker, but I was asking because that's a movie that also has too many MacGuffins. I think by count of literal ones, there's less than Dead Man's Chest, but the way they used them there was like, it felt like anytime they didn't know what to do with the plot, it was like, throw in a MacGuffin and throw in another character. But that aside, like, it didn't work for me there, but like, and again, there are too many MacGuffins in this, but it sort of works here. Like,
you think?
It's not perfect. I will unequivocally say there are too many MacGuffins in this, and that's probably going to hold true for the third one too. But there are some things that, like, make these MacGuffins a little bit better, I think, than other ones. The fake-out MacGuffins at least make it a little more interesting. Much more confusing, for sure. So it's not necessarily a good thing, but there's at least intention behind them. Like, once you figure out everything that happens, you're like, okay, I see why that's there. It's messy, but it has a purpose, at least. like there's a little bit of symbolism in a couple of them. Davy Jones tearing out his heart and putting it somewhere else as like a fear of death.
That's stupid.
You could say that, but then again, like that does make him more difficult to kill, you know, because you need like all these checkpoints. You need to get the key from him, which he keeps on his person at all times, and then you gotta get the chest. And
He keeps on what person? I'm kidding.
Oh. There's a little bit of like, it's not just like a flash drive MacGuffin where it's just like this computer code will destroy the world. It's like there's a little bit of like, I'm just gonna say it, there's a little heart to that MacGuffin.
You get no respect from me for that one.
I wasn't looking for it. I knew that was not gonna earn me any points.
No, you disappointed me. You disappointed me and the pun squad, Evan. What have you done? I'm gonna need your badge.
I will,
and your puns.
I will apologize to the pun squad for that. It is pretty lame as puns go.
Pun packed.
Well, you might not like this one that much either, because the next thing I was gonna say is that like the compass, which is a MacGuffin, this is not a pun necessarily, but it literally is a moral compass. There's a symbolism to it.
I thought you were gonna say they were gonna go the wrong direction with it.
Oh no, that would have been pretty bad. No, but like it is literally a moral compass. It points to what's important to you. It's literally taking your priorities and giving them giving you a way to pursue them.
It points to the heart, right?
No, it points to the thing you want most.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the point of it then? What is it?
Well, because, so here's the thing, and this was something else I heard on the DVD commentary. So in the first movie, they originally were going to just have the compass point to the island with the treasure. And that was all it was supposed to do. Then at the beginning of this one, when Elizabeth is like threatening Beckett, she's like, that's only going to lead you there. It's not going to do you any good. And he says, oh, you think it only leads there. You know, it was pretty quick, so I'm not surprised that you didn't pick this up. But Jack, I think, says, like, this points to the thing you want most. And that's part of why they're, like, not quite sure if it works. Because he's having to manipulate her. He's like, you want to save Will, so you want to find the heart because that's what's going to save him. She's like, all right, cool. It's a little bit simple, and that's not even really a MacGuffin for most of it, but initially that's what Beckett wants. So it's the first MacGuffin that's introduced. But at least it's something that, like, has a bit of... There's something there that it's not just a powerful thing. It kind of plays into a theme a bit.
Ew.
So, does it make things messier? Maybe.
Well, if you have a whole bunch of McMuffins all over the place, it's probably not going to be very clean. Very greasy, maybe,
yeah.
I'm guessing.
Very greasy, yes. But anyway, like, I think the MacGuffins in this, I don't know if they make it better or worse, but they're certainly a factor.
Uh-huh.
I guess just as, like, one more thing with it, like, the 100 Souls hardly becomes a MacGuffin at all.
Oh, yeah. What was the point in that?
Yeah, that was in for, like, one scene. So that was kind of a fake-out MacGuffin a little bit. Because I think I remember at the first time I saw this at the end of the movie, I was like, wait, didn't he have to, like, get 100 people?
Yeah.
And kill them? Like, what happened to that? It's not good in some ways that they introduced that, but it does play into Jack's arc, which we'll get into next. Did you have anything else to say about the MacGuffins?
Nope.
Okay. So we've been poking some holes in this, but for the last topic, the one thing that I think this movie does really well is Jack's arc. So in the first one, we were kind of saying, like, you know, he's not a bad guy exactly. He's not really hurting anyone. And I really like that this one takes his opportunism and selfishness from the first movie and gives it some consequences. The question throughout it is, how much is Jack willing to hurt other people and let them die so that he can live?
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time he's, you know, that first scene with the cannibal island, he lets almost his entire crew die because he's afraid of the Kraken. And sure, he didn't know that was going to happen when they went there, but it does. So, and he doesn't really have to own up to that exactly. But
he also lets them die because, he's afraid to get eaten or killed by the tribe.
Yeah, that too.
And they tried to do that anyway.
Yeah, and of course we didn't see how that happens, so maybe there was more that went on there where he did allow he was literally faced with a choice to let them be killed or not, and he was like, yeah, go ahead. So there's a possibility of that too.
They couldn't show that. They couldn't show Jack be that evil.
Yeah, they can't, because
then who do you root for?
Yeah, that would have been a deal breaker. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of whether he actually had to decide that or not, but it is kind of a important question to whether he did or not. But even so, he doesn't tell Gibbs what they're running from initially, so they're all going on land and they don't know why. I think that plays into it a bit. And then throughout most of the second act, he's manipulating Will and Elizabeth to go and do what he wants for him. He sends Will on board the Dutchman, and I don't know if you feel the same, but I think he is initially hoping there. Of course, he wouldn't mind if Will got away with the key and everything. That would kind of be the best case scenario. But I think he's partly hoping that he can just send Will in his place and be like, 1 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
The debt is settled.
Yeah.
He seems totally okay with having Will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Davy Jones even calls him out on it. He's like, I don't know, can you live with this? You're gonna let 100 people, or even just one, die for you. And he's like, yep, I'm good with it. So maybe that's just buying time.
Yeah, I sometimes when he makes decisions like that, I don't completely believe him. I know he's supposed to be a pirate and all, but because he's the beloved character of the series, I'm not completely believing he's willing to leave these people alone to die and stuff like that.
But I think that's what makes his arc in this so great, is that he's struggling with that the whole time. He lets a lot of people die from the beginning, and granted, we aren't really emotionally invested in anyone who does die there.
Mm-hmm.
But then later, at the very end with the Kraken attack, he leaves and he's just out and leaves without trying to save anyone else. And then his arc is complete when he goes back.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that, because the whole time he's acting in his own interest and he's letting everyone else suffer for it. But at the end, he realizes that's not who he is, and he can't actually. You could argue he doesn't want the Pearl to be taken down, but I think there's a stronger argument that he doesn't want to let his crew down there. He can't take that guilt or whatever. I really appreciated that they did that, because despite everything else, I think he does have a strong through line and is forced into tough decisions with that throughout, and really does have a you could call it an arc. It may not be a full 180 change, but by the end he's shown that selfishness is not his only strategy. It's not the only thing he cares about.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I really appreciate what they did with it.
Yes.
Did you have anything else on that?
Nope. He ain't dead. He's probably just living inside the Kraken hole. Because they didn't actually show him die. They never could. So if a character does not die on screen, then they are most likely not dead. That's the lesson of today.
I concur with that completely. However, I am going to tell you he really is dead.
No.
He's going to be back in the next one, but he really is dead at the end of this movie.
Oh, you mean not in the stomach? You mean he was torn apart by the teeth?
Yeah, the Kraken kills him at the end.
Oh, shoot.
He is as dead as the snapped characters in Infinity War.
Oh, so they're gonna reanimate him or something.
Yes, you'll see what they do.
Oh.
But he really is dead.
I thought he was just swallowed whole Lord Farquaad from Shrek.
Yeah, but I mean, he's dead in that too.
Is he?
He doesn't come back in any of the other ones.
Is he?
I mean, yeah.
I still have hope that our Lord and Savior Farquaad is out there somewhere. I haven't seen the fourth one, Evan. Maybe he's in the fourth one.
He's not. He's not.
Evan, how could you do... No, he has to be in the fourth one. It should be called Shrek 4 Farquaad. Because it's the fourth movie.
I don't know what to tell you. It's not.
Evan, you leave the short Lord alone, alright? He's in our hearts, at least.
I mean, sure, he can be alive in our hearts if you want, but that won't change much else.
It would have been messed up if you said he can be alive in our hearts if you want, but he's not alive in the stomach of the dragon.
Yeah.
Man, you messed up.
Sorry.
Okay, screw the lesson of the day with the character off-screen thing. The lesson of the day is Farquaad rules over you all.
Okay. Wasn't what I was expecting us to take away from this, but if you want.
Screw pirates. Screw everything else. Farquaad is your lord now, and it is time for you to pay homage or something. That's the lesson.
I have loyalty to other villains, so...
Write that down. Farquaad is not a villain. What do you mean, Evan? He is an anti-hero at worst.
I think maybe we need to continue to our Shrek episode if this is going to be a debate.
No, I'm completely kidding. I just went off the rails.
No, it's okay. Yeah, did you have any other notes at all?
It went a lot faster than I thought it would for a 2. When I saw the beginning, I was like, oh my god, 2.5 hours. But it didn't feel like that. Well, yeah, not really.
Yeah, it has a pretty good energy that like keeps it going throughout. Like there's some slow moments, but you're never bored, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one thing I meant to ask last time. Have you ever seen the Lonely Island Jack Sparrow song? Or heard it?
This is a tale.
Yes.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes. I wanted to know if that was part of your prior knowledge. Not that it tells you anything, but like that is an iconic part of this series.
7 Seas.
That's such a fun video though.
Isle of Tortuga.
Yeah, that's such a great video.
Goes from clubbing to pirates.
If that's all, we can just move on to the boilerplate. So you don't have anything else to say about it?
Wait, you mentioned something about improv?
Oh, just a little bit, yeah. Like, there was a bit in the script where it felt like they were kind of letting... They didn't actually say, like, we're going to just let Johnny Depp improv here, but it felt like they were allowing for it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that seemed like... I didn't read the script for the first one, but that felt like a bit of a difference from one to the other.
I mean, they have more trust in everybody, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and especially because he was, like, so pivotal to the success of the first one. They were like, we need to just let him be him. And eventually, in, like, the fourth and I heard the fifth one, they were just like, this isn't working anymore. But he was still going pretty strong in this one. So if that's all for Pirates 2, we'll just do some quick boilerplate notes. Our next episode is going to be Avatar: The Last Airbender Season 1.
Yes. Evan's never seen it. Well, did you finish it?
I did finish. Yeah, yep. It is much better than probably any other kid show I've ever seen.
You're damn right.
Like,
you're damn right.
Yeah, it's really good. Like,
you're damn right.
So yeah, I still haven't seen Season 2 because we're gonna hold off that until we talk about 1. But I'm excited for Season 2.
You're damn right.
So, yeah, we've got that, and then we're going to finish out this with At World's End after that. And we're also probably going to have a conversation pretty soon about the MPAA ratings. I don't know exactly when that's going to be happening, but...
ratings are weird.
Dude, you don't even know. Like, I've been looking into it. There's
some really weird specifics. Like, 1 F-bomb per PG-13 movie. Well, if they... Like, what? What is that? How?
We are going to get into all of that. There's a lot. Yeah, that's going to be coming up. So otherwise, you can like us on Facebook, rate and review on iTunes, send in comments, questions, suggestions, requests to intanalysis18@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at INTAnalysis18. You can follow me on Twitter at Davos Watson. And where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jelani T. Kelly. Follow me on Instagram at Based Phoenix. And I am on Twitch at JBasedPhoenix. Also buy my book, Descended Awakening, on Amazon. On Twitch, I just started gaming, my gaming content. So I'm doing the hour writing a day, and then after, at 9:30 every night, I'm doing some sort of game. I'm playing through Outlast 2 right now. I've never played through a horror game. It's very spooky. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Peace, y'all.